We are going to walk through and demo PR129. User should still be able to disable data collection in a Solidus Braintree hosted form. This closes issue 126. In issue 126, we documented the following behavior. So this is the expected behavior. If we have Solidus Braintree installed on a Solidus app and we disable use data collector and we enable the hosted fields credit card form, when we run the app, then the hosted fields credit card form should not use the data collector, and as a result the app should not collect device data. However, the current behavior is that the hosted form uses the data collector regardless of the use data collector preference setting. So this is the actual line that sets it to true, forces it to true. Okay. Let's continue. We're going to walk through the issue. First, let's open we're going to walk through the fix. All right. So in our Braintree HTML, or for the hosted, for our Braintree HTML, we add a use data collector data attribute that is set to the preferred use data collector preference from from our Braintree gateway. That data collector is then that data attribute is, let's see where it is set up. Okay, when we get our, when we get our hosted form field set, we get the use data collector value from that data attribute, and we pass it to our, when we create the hosted form object, we pass that use data collector. That is passed here. Actually, that's passed. Yes. Interestingly, that's passed here. So when we create a hosted form object, and that use data collector, we're going to pass to our client. Now, when the user submits the payment form, we check if that client has a data collector instance, and if it has, then we set the value of the device data to the device data of the data collector instance. That device data value is saved in a source, in a Braintree source, which then gets, if we look at our, it gets passed to our gateway. So in our gateway, there's a device data attribute. When we do the transaction, the sales transaction, it checks if there's a device data attribute, and then it sets the device data param to the device data attribute of that source. Okay. So one thing I found in my testing is that if the device data, if use data, sorry, if use data collector has been disabled, then the device data field will be blank. And in my testing, I found that saves the device data field of the source object to an empty string. To avoid that, I added a before validation callback that clears the device data if it's blank. This part here. So let's test it out. First, we're going to do run the app with the use data collector enabled and then disabled. So we have a sandbox, and in our sandbox we have a initializer for the gateway. Currently, use data collector is set to false. We'll enable it, and now we're going to run the sandbox. This sandbox has already been configured with the SolidusBraintree gateway enabled. Sometimes this happens. Maybe I think I just need to close it. Let's try again. There. So before we continue, okay, before we continue, let's check the last saved SolidusBraintree source in our database. The last one has device data set to nil. Okay. Now we're going to continue. All right. As you remember, we enabled use data collector. Now it's done. If we check our source, you can see that the device data has been set, and it should have been passed to Braintree. Oops. Let's remove that. There. It has been passed, and well, we have two instances where it's called, but what I'd like to show is that in our REST data, it says that the device data captured. It says that the device state has been captured. Okay. Now we stop this, and this time we're going to set this to false. Let's close our tab. Alright. This time use data collector has been disabled. We're going to do another transaction. This time, okay, we're going to create another source. Okay, if we check our sources right now, the last one, you'll see that device data has been set to nil. Now if we try to submit a transaction, you'll see that device data captured is set to false, and that's it. In our request to Braintree, we didn't pass the device data. So that's it. The PR is currently failing because of linting failures. So I'll fix that. Thanks.